The next type of nonverbal communication that we are going to discuss is chronemics. Chronemics is the study of how time affects communication. And there are several different types of time that we experience on a daily basis that may have an impact. First, we have biological time. Biological time are the rhythms of living things. This can include things like circadian rhythms, which is the rhythm within our body that tells us when we should eat, when we should sleep, when we should wake, etc. And our physical and mental health, and therefore our communication competence, can suffer if these biological times, these circadian rhythms, are interrupted in any way. Additionally, we experience personal time. These are the ways that individuals experience time, and the personal time of an individual can vary depending on our mood, our interest level in something, and a bunch of other factors. So, you know how they say time flies when you're having fun? That's personal time. Physical time is the fixed cycle of days, years, and seasons. So we know that there's 24 hours in a day, that working hours are 8 to 5, and so on. And some people even experience mood changes based on the seasons. And there's a thing called seasonal affective disorder, which happens when the days are shorter and so there's less daylight. And some individuals experience low levels of depression during that time. So physical time can have a really important impact on the way that we are feeling, and therefore the way that we're communicating. And finally, we experience cultural time. Cultural time is how large groups of people view time, and within this we usually have polychronic cultures and monochronic cultures. Polychronic cultures don't tend to view time as being a linear progression that needs to be divided into small units and scheduled in advance. Whereas monochronic people tend to schedule their time much more rigidly. So people who come from polychronic cultures tend to be a little bit more free-flowing, a little bit more flexible, whereas monochronic cultures tend to be a lot more rigid. And the way that we use time often depends on the status that we have within an interaction. For example, if you're going to the doctor's office, the doctor can make you as the patient wait, but you as the patient cannot make the doctor wait. Same thing in a job interview. If you are late to a job interview, you're probably not going to get that job. Whereas if the interviewer is late, no big deal. It all has to do with power and status. And finally, just as sort of like an overall note when it comes to chronemics, the level of promptness and the amount of time that is socially acceptable for lateness and waiting, for example, tends to vary among individuals and contexts. So sometimes people will tell you that it's okay to be like 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, maybe getting up to 15 is too late, for example. Other people will tell you that if you are not early, you are late. And so we all experience time differently, whether it's biological time, personal time, physical time, or cultural time. And all of these different times affect the ways that we communicate with one another.